Welcome to Holstein Connections, where we share the latest stories, insights, and news from Holstein Association USA and beyond. The largest dairy cattle breed association in the world, Holstein Association USA provides leadership, information, and services to help dairy producers worldwide be successful. Whether you're in the barn, on the road, or just tuning in for your dose of dairy news, we're glad you're here. This is Holstein Connections.
Hello, Holstein enthusiasts. I am Jodi Hoynoski, your host for today's Holstein Connections podcast. I am the Strategic Projects Manager for Holstein Association USA and Programs Director for the Holstein Foundation. I am joined today by Holstein Association USA CEO and Executive Secretary Lindsey Worden. As just the 10th person to hold that title in our organization's history, Lindsey has now wrapped up her first full year in this prestigious role. Lindsey and I are going to look back on 2025, unveiling her top 10 list of highlights from the year. Now, in full disclosure, I have not seen Lindsey's top 10 list, so I'm hearing all of this for the first time along with you. I have some ideas of what I'd expect, but can't wait to hear what Lindsey has to say and how she'll rank the year's events. And in true fashion, when you get Jodi and Lindsey together, expect lively banter and discussion ahead. Without further ado, welcome Lindsey.
Thanks, Jodi.
All right, so I'm going to assume, Lindsey, that you've done your homework assignment from me and you have your top 10 2025 Holstein Association USA highlights of the year ready to roll. Is that correct?
I sure do.
All right, super. Well, let's get started. Hit me with your number 10.
All right, so for number 10, this one isn't exactly Holstein Association related, but it's definitely relevant to the dairy industry. So something that has caught my attention a lot over this year is the fact that dairy is having a real moment in the spotlight with fitness influencers. And a lot of dairy products are actually a major piece of the puzzle for people that are wanting to eat high protein diets, which is a real fad that is something that I think is more than a fad. I think it's here to stay. So that's been really exciting. So I just made note of a couple of headlines that I thought were interesting that I'll share with our listeners of things that caught my attention to kind of support this moment in the spotlight that dairy's having. So actually, Parmesan cheese is one thing that went viral in 2025 with fitness influencers on TikTok and Instagram actually suggesting it as a great alternative to the ultra-processed protein bars. So they've got a stick of Parmesan cheese. It packs about 8 grams of protein per ounce. There's videos on TikTok of people eating Parmesan cheese wedges like apples, which is something that, honestly, I don't think that that's too out of character for those of us that might be in the industry, but those videos racked up millions of views. And so that's something I think is pretty neat. You know, protein bars are okay, but if I can grab a stick of Parmesan cheese, that's not the worst idea that I've heard. This next one actually might be my favorite. And so cottage cheese is something else that has had a major revival in the last couple of years. It's gone from something that I think people might just think that they could find in the back of their grandma's fridge to something that's really being considered a superfood. 1 cup of low-fat cottage cheese actually has 28 grams of protein for 160 calories. So it really is a nutrition powerhouse. And now the rest of the world is exposed to this, and I think that's pretty cool. So sales of cottage cheese, if you watch the dairy product reports, have had over 10% growth year over year for the last 2 years. So it's showing up in the sales data. And if you're online, like I said, fitness influencers, people are doing all kinds of creative things with cottage cheese. They're putting it in pancake batter. They're stirring it into scrambled eggs, tossing it in with pasta. There's even cottage cheese ice cream making the rounds. So I think that's really cool and something that I would have said a few years ago was totally unexpected.
You know, I just saw something this morning on my news. They were putting cottage cheese in chocolate-covered peanut butter balls.
Yeah, you can put cottage cheese literally in everything. I have a cottage cheese banana pancake recipe that's one of my personal favorite recipes. So I think that's pretty cool. And then the last one I have, we can't forget about the original classic, milk. And so I saw an article that said actually 85% of the Indy 500 drivers in 2025 actually chose to have whole milk over low fat or skim milk. So I think that's cool in a sport like that where milk is a really important part of the celebration, that a lot of drivers are recognizing that whole milk is where it's at. And if they're going to have that moment of the spotlight, they want to have the best and most nutritious beverage that they can have at their side. So those are just a few things that, dairy doesn't always make the headlines when you're scrolling Instagram or Facebook. So I think that bodes well for the dairy product demand. And I think it's really awesome that the general public now is really recognizing what those of us in the industry have known for so long, that you've got cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, milk, dairy is where it's at if you're looking for high quality nutrition.
And I think the good news for dairy farmers here is that I don't see that trend slowing down in 2026. In fact, today, as we're recording this, I think they just announced the new dietary guidelines, and full fat dairy products are a main plate staple. So that's exciting. More to come, I
Well,
think.
yeah, I mean, you can't watch an episode of TV at night without seeing an ad for a GLP-1 drug, and
Mm.
those people on those really need to focus on high protein diets. So no, I really think this high protein trend is here to stay, and dairy is perfectly poised to help meet that need.
Love it. All right. So next up, let's hear what made number 9.
All right, number 9. Now we're going to get focused a little bit more on Holstein Association activities. And so for number 9, I've got that. So Agritech Analytics is the dairy records processing center owned by the Holstein Association based in California. And they hit a major milestone in 2025, and that is processing records on over 1 million cows. That's a pretty impressive number when you think about the size of the national herd size. So in December 2025, ATA had 1,031,662 cows enrolled across 437 herds. So that brings our average customer herd size close to 2,400 animals. And if you compare that to a year prior, December 2024, that's a 4% increase in cows. And actually, the number of herds we work with decreased by 9%. So we know that there's herd consolidation going on. So that trend's not surprising. But that was really exciting when ATA crossed that million cow threshold for processing.
So that's awesome news, Lindsay. Now, a lot of people don't realize that they can pick their dairy records processing centers.
Absolutely.
You do have a choice. So why is it, do you think, that we're seeing this increase? What are the key benefits of ATA that people are making the switch?
Yeah, so I mean, ATA is a part of the Holstein Association, and I think the Holstein Association, we really pride ourselves on individualized customer service and really providing that excellent customer experience. And I think that's part of it. Being based out in Tulare, California, they've got a lot of local herds that they work with. Most of the herds they work with would be based out west. So they've got some regional influence. But I really think, especially for Holstein Association members, if you want to make sure that you've got the easiest experience to get your production records from the farm, through the DHI, DRPC, and onto your Holstein pedigrees in the Holstein database, working with ATA, it's basically a one-stop shop. So just one less business you have to talk to. We can, if there's any issues, whether you talk to a Holstein staff or ATA, we're going to work it out amongst ourselves and make it as easy as we can for the farmer. So I think just that customer experience is something that we really take a lot of pride in, and that certainly doesn't hurt when you're trying to earn new business.
All right. Keep rocking it, Agritech Analytics. All right. 8 is going to be great. What do we have here?
All right, 8. So a lot of our listeners have hopefully heard through the years about our Elevation IT project, and we continue to make good strides with that. And so our My Holstein online tag store saw a lot of growth in 2025. So since we first launched the site, we have had over 625 unique users log in. So that's a lot of users. It's a really easy sign up process. They've placed over 7,700 orders, amounting for over 2.5 million ear tags sold since we launched the My Holstein site. An online tag store, it's one of those things that sounds simple, but I really think it's making life easier for a lot of members. Instead of having to call in or talk to a regional rep, you can just pull up the website on your phone, and in a few clicks, it's kind of like buying from Amazon. You can check out your cart. So I really think it's helping simplify things. And just another fun fact related to tags, because tags are a major part of Holstein Association's business, they remain extremely popular. And in 2025, actually 92% of the Holsteins registered, their identification method was ear tags as opposed to photos or sketches. So 92%. It's been pretty high for the last several years, but I think we've actually grown that from in the 80s to now 92% in 2025. So a very popular, convenient option that a lot of people are taking advantage of.
Yeah, love our online ordering, don't we? All right. So I'm curious, Lindsay, what is your favorite ear tag combo of choice?
So I grew up with orange ear tags for most of our animals, so I do have a soft spot for that. But I do have to put a plug in. Our combos make it super easy. I'm a big proponent of genomic testing, and I think the ear tag combos that you can buy that have a tissue sampling unit combined with an RFID, and then some whatever visual tag or tags of your choice. I mean, I think that's as easy as it gets. You get one convenient package. You can do your genomic test. You can put your RFID in to make sure that you meet all your state health requirements, and then you've got whatever other tags you want to identify animals on your farm. So those tag combos, especially the RFID and then whatever tag people want, I think those are pretty awesome and convenient.
Kind of like cottage cheese is having a moment, so are TSU ear tag combos, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, doing a TSU, it does cost a little bit. They're about 270 now, I think, versus pulling a hair sample, which is free. But I think we've had very few people that have tried TSUs and not stuck with it, even though it's a little expense, just the convenience of being able to just do it in the calf's ear and you've got the identification printed on there like that. That'll be trying to pull tail hair anytime.
All right, you delivered 8 was great. So, what is your lucky number 7 highlight?
All right, 7. So this one might seem obvious to a lot of people because it's what you're listening to right now. We launched our first episode of Holstein Connections podcast on June 12th of 2025, and we've kept a real steady rhythm since then. Every other Thursday, pretty much like clockwork, we've got new episodes coming out. So that means we've already put out 15 episodes, which I think is pretty cool. I'm a pretty avid podcast listener myself, so having a Holstein Association podcast was something that I was pretty personally excited about. And I think our communications team, led by Emily Bosch, we've had several other people contributing to it. They've done a really great job at lining up guests, coming up with interesting topics. And I know we've got plenty of episode content ideas here for 2026. So we're looking forward to another good year. So if you're listening to this, thank you for being a part of our journey. It's been a lot of fun so far, and I'm really excited about what 2026 is going to bring.
So, we've been both fortunate to have the honor of hosting a few podcasts
Yep.
while Emily was out on leave. And I know you're tuning in every episode. So, I'm curious if you were to plug any of the episodes we've done so far, what is a must listen recommendation from you?
So I think one that I really enjoyed was Jacob Schaefer hosted a podcast with some of our recent distinguished junior member. We had Kylie Conine and Keenan Tygeson. Jacob was also a recent DJM finalist himself. Just hearing Kylie and Keenan, I mean, they are articulate young people and talking about how the Holstein Association programs have influenced them in their life and now their budding careers. That was just really inspiring, and it was just really fun for me to listen to. I enjoyed that. I mean, everyone's a little different. I really think that we've done a good job at getting an interesting mix. So there's a little something for everybody, whatever you're interested in. But that one with our awesome junior members recently was pretty inspiring for me.
Yeah, I agree. I would put a plug in if you're looking for entertaining for the one that you did with Cy and Steinhoff as they
Yeah,
are
that one was
retiring
awesome
from their
too.
careers as classifiers.
Yeah, I really enjoy interviewing those two, just kind of hearing about their careers and giving them a chance to talk about something that they've made a career out of and are so personally passionate about. That one, as a host, that one was very special for me.
Yeah, for sure. So, what do you have in the number 6 slot for us, Lindsay?
All right, number 6. So, Jodi, this will probably be something near and dear to your heart. So, we graduated class 13 of Young Dairy Leaders Institute last February, and this was a big one. We had 74 participants from across the US, Canada, and Puerto Rico made up this class, and it was the largest class that we've had in several years. For those who don't know, YDLI is all about helping young adults in the dairy industry build their leadership and communication skills. Our age range is 22 to 45. I feel very fortunate. I've talked about this a lot. I've been able to be engaged with different Holstein Foundation programs pretty much my entire time working with Holstein, starting from when I was an intern up through present. And I think YDLI Class 6 was my first class I was involved with. And Jodi, you've been responsible for most of YDLI's last several classes. And it's been really fun for me to see what you've done with the program through the years. I think a lot of the fundamentals of what I think makes YDLI so unique and special, we've really kept those rocks the same. But I think we've also done a good job at keeping it relevant and modernizing it for the time. So we've got several hundred alumni in our network now, and it's just very, very cool to look at, the major organizations, the awesome farms we have, and just recognize YDLI alumni in a lot of those. So I hope these graduates realize that they really are the future of our industry. And I know every time I go to YDLI, I learn something new, and I certainly leave with a ton of energy and optimism, and just really feel like our future of our industry is in good hands.
Love it. And I share your love for YDLI. That's no secret. There are other leadership programs out there in addition to YDLI. What is it that sets YDLI apart that makes it unique from other programs out there?
I think a big part of it is what we do with our phase two experience. So there's two in-person meetings. Phase one is an in-person meeting. Phase two happens in the year in between. And then 12 months after phase one, we bring people back for phase three. And I really love what we've done with that phase two experience the last couple classes. Having people come up with personalized goals that are personally meaningful for them, and then holding them accountable for executing on those goals over 12 months, kind of on their own time. I think that really makes it sticky and really helps people, again, focus on things that they really feel like, hey, I want to work on this part of myself. And now they've got basically an accountability system that's going to help them grow into that. So I think that's part of what separates YDLI from just any conference you might go to and have a great couple educational days and then go home. We really have that accountability factor that I think sets YDLI apart. And between staff and our YDLI advisory committee, that accountability factor is real, and it's fun. I mean, the class members hold each other accountable too, right? I think that's what makes YDLI pretty different from most other programs that I'm familiar with.
I would have said the exact same thing, Lindsay. I think that accountability factor is definitely what makes YDLI unique and such a rewarding experience at the end, and makes it sticky, like you said. And we can't wait. We've got class 14 coming up. I'm making final preparations as we
Yeah,
speak.
just here in a few weeks.
Yeah, it's coming up quick. So we're excited to meet everyone from class 14. Okay, so let's take a pause from the countdown here. We'll get to your top 5 next. But I'm curious to hear. Let's look in the crystal ball 1 year from now and picture we are doing this all over again. What is a highlight or two you think we'll be talking about from 2026?
hmm So looking in the crystal ball, like we have a lot cooking for 2026. I think it's going to be a great year. But if I had to pick just a few things, here's a couple things I would think that we might hopefully be talking about on a podcast a year from now. So first of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't give a quick plug for something that we're actually starting right now. We've got a brand new email newsletter coming out. It's going to launch this month. We're recording this in January 2026. Our first issue is going to be coming out later this month. And I think that's going to be really a great way, just one more way to help keep our members and other people that are interested in what's going on at the Holstein Association informed in a timely fashion. So if anybody's interested in making sure they're on our email newsletter list, there's a link on the website homepage. You can go sign up for that. Second, I can't go without mentioning the 2026 National Holstein Convention. I can't wait to see everybody in Orlando, Florida, in late June this year. It's going to be an incredible event. Our team is already working hard on all the preparations and all the touches that are going to make it a really special event, and I'm already looking forward to it. So then there's a couple big projects that I think are going to make some headlines this year. I mentioned our Elevation IT project earlier. We've got some more exciting things that we're going to be rolling out, more capabilities through that My Holstein website that I talked about. We've got things like the ability to order custom ear tags directly through the site. So our custom tags are extremely popular. You'll be able to order those through the My Holstein site. And then we'll also have our updated registration software to make identifying your animals easier is targeted to roll out before the end of 2026. So very excited about that. And then on the genetics side of things, we are going to be working hard throughout the year to make preparations to implement our single-step genetic evaluation methodology in collaboration with the Council on Dairy Cattle Breeding. This is going to roll out to the industry sometime late in 2026 or early 2027. And this update's really going to align us with the most advanced, up-to-date evaluation methodology that's available and used around the world. And there's going to be a lot of communication coming out about this later this year from ourselves, from the Council on Dairy Cattle Breeding. A lot of the industry is going to be talking about this and providing educational resources for farmers to help them understand what this is going to mean for our evaluations. But it's going to be a big task, but we're very excited to be able to make this update to our genetic evaluations. So lots of irons in the fire. There's a lot I could talk about, but I'll stick with just those few, and I'm really excited about them.
Sounds like you're already working on your homework assignment for next year. That's a great list. I think I'd agree with you on all those fronts. 2026 has got a lot of exciting things to come. Now we are going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll continue our conversation with Lindsey Worden.
Do you know someone making a big impact in the Holstein industry? Each year, Holstein Association USA honors outstanding community leaders with prestigious awards, the Distinguished Young Holstein Breeder, Distinguished Leadership, and Elite Breeder Awards. The Elite Breeder Award honors a living Holstein Association USA member, family, partnership, or corporation that has bred outstanding animals and made a lasting contribution to the advancement of U.S. registered Holsteins. The Distinguished Leadership Award recognizes an individual whose leadership, service, and vision have strengthened Holstein Association USA and the dairy community as a whole. The Distinguished Young Holstein Breeder Award celebrates the accomplishments of young registered Holstein breeders ages 21 to 40. The deadline to submit your nominations is January 31st, 2026. Winners will be recognized at the 2026 National Holstein Convention held June 22nd through 25th in Orlando, Florida. Submit your nomination today to help celebrate the leaders who positively influence the dairy community.
All right, so then let's turn back to our 2025 countdown. What highlight cracked the top 5?
All right, number 5, I maybe teased this just a second ago, but number 5 for me is the 139th Holstein USA annual meeting that we had during the National Holstein Convention in St. Louis, Missouri. That was June 23rd to the 26th, 25, and wow, what an event that was. We had more than 750 Holstein enthusiasts of all ages join us. It was actually the second year that Holstein staff was responsible for planning the entire event. So that was really cool to see how our team came together and tried to create a really memorable experience for our members. There was a couple of fun, I would call kind of full circle moments for me. Obviously, being my first convention in my role as CEO was a different experience and pretty cool, but a couple moments that were neat. I'm pretty sure I was the answer to a Dairy Bowl question, which is always a cool feeling. It's maybe back in the day I was, but I think I was again, so that was fun. I got to take selfies with some of our awesome junior members, so that was flattering for me. Like I said before, National Convention's always been one of my very favorite events of the year for the last 19 years and counting. It's always great to reconnect with members and old friends that, we see every year at that event. And then also meet new members that are joining us for the first time. There's nothing quite like the energy and the camaraderie that we have at our national conventions. And it's one of my favorite weeks of the year for sure.
It was an energizing week indeed. For me, I had missed 2 years when I had left and came back. And it was such a wonderful feeling for me personally. It felt like a homecoming. I got to see so many friends I hadn't seen in a while and so many of our great members, those convention regulars that come. But then what struck me too is there was some people I saw there. I'm like, oh my gosh, what are they doing here? And they were there with their kids enjoying and taking in all the fun things that convention has to offer. And it just really was an aha moment for me that, our convention is for families.
Yes.
That youth element is such a heartbeat of our convention. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that I met at National Holstein Conventions when I was a junior coming with my family that now have children of their own that are competing in contests, friends I went to college with that have kids that are bringing their kids now. It is pretty cool just to see all generations coming together, and it's really all about our love of the Holstein cow.
Yeah, I know we're dating ourselves. Oh, they're bringing their kids.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do we have coming in at number 4?
All right, so number 4, this one I think is really special. So one of our team members, Debbie Dandria, celebrated 50 years as a Holstein Association employee last March. So think about that, half a century of dedication to the Holstein cow and our members. That's pretty cool. So Debbie's worn different hats over the year. Today, she's part of our identification services team. She helps with memberships, transfers, registrations, among other things. And here's a fact that actually might surprise our listeners. So while Debbie's 50 years is really incredible, it's actually not our record for our longest tenured employee. That honor still belongs to Doris Halleck, who retired in 2005 after 58 years. I just checked the plaque earlier to make sure I had my information right. Doris has a plaque that hangs in the hallway here at One Holstein Place. So Debbie's got a few years left if she wants to chase down the record. We certainly appreciate her service. And I think that's a real asset of the Holstein team is we have so many folks. You said we're dating ourselves earlier. I think that's a real strength of our organization is that we do have so many people that have dedicated so much of their life. They know their jobs inside and out. And, we love our young team members that bring that fresh energy, but it's awesome to have those steady voices that have been answering the phones here for decades.
And, you and I worked with Doris. We continue to work with Debbie today, but we both had the pleasure of working with Doris. And you hear the stories about back in the day. Holstein was the place, if you graduated high school in the area and you wanted a clerical job, Holstein was the place to work, the enviable position. And I think you're continuing to build this culture that's going to help retain people for a long time, well into the future. It's a very proud fact of Holstein that tenure that people build up once they come join the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. It's pretty great. I remember when I used to be one of the new people here. I'm not anymore, but I take a lot of pride in that. It's also not common in a lot of organizations today to have people with that, but I've been working alongside some of the people here for going on 19 years and like just our ability to communicate the relationships that we built. I think that's something that's really, really special.
Absolutely. All right, we're getting closer to learning what topped Lindsey's list of highlights from 2025. What is your number 3?
All right, so number 3, we're stepping a little bit back and looking at something more broadly in the industry. So genetics has always been something near and dear to my heart. So I had to have something genetics related close to the top of my list. At number 3, we have the fact that in 2025, the Council on Dairy Cattle Breeding added over 1.3 million Holstein genotypes to their database. So that would include both domestic and international, but 1.3 million. So every genotype that we add for Holstein cattle strengthens the accuracy of our genetic evaluations. That helps our members make smarter, more data-driven decisions. And we're absolutely seeing that show up in the incredible genetic progress that we see in the Holstein breed. We also had a base change in 2025. And I think when you look at the progress that Holstein's made for production traits, health traits, conformation traits, it's really unmatched in any other breed around the world. So that's something that we're really proud of. And genomics has really helped accelerate that genetic progress. So adoption of genomic testing is growing faster than ever before. CDCB reported that they recorded their 11 millionth genotype in their database last June, and that's only 6 months after they added the 10 millionth. So they added over 1 million genotypes, and that would be of all breeds from all around the world, over 1 million genotypes in 6 months. And so the speed at which we're adding this data and the information we're getting, it really would have been mind-blowing when genomics was first introduced over 15 years ago. And I was working in communications at that time. I did some of the original communications on genomics, and we talked about crystal ball earlier. I don't know that anybody would have had a crystal ball that would have predicted quite where we've ended up. So I think that's pretty neat.
And we're seeing it, new people getting involved with the Holstein Association, that genomic testing is kind of like that foot in the door. Once they unlock that data and realize the value in it, it just makes them want to go further, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. That's where we're seeing a lot of our growth and new herds coming on. Our herds that got interested in genetics, they learned what they had through genomic testing. And I think that good animal ID is the foundation of a good genomic testing program. You can't have genomic testing without individual animal ID, 840-year tags. So it's really, that's the core of our business. And so in a lot of cases, we help herds establish that. And then, once they learn the value of their genetics, they learn what they have, we can help them take the next step and just continue to level up their herd.
Wow, pretty impressive growth. So what holds runner-up honors as highlight number 2?
Yeah, so we're getting down to the wire here, and this whole exercise was tricky for me, but it was a lot of fun. So number 2 is something that's had a big smile on my face for over a week now, and that's that we saw some really exciting growth in most of our core programs in 2025. So I'll just rattle off some stats that I'm excited and proud of. So starting with membership, we welcomed 292 new adult members and 648 new junior members to the association in 2025. And what's perhaps even more exciting is that's an increase of 24% for adult members and 14% for new junior members over 2024. So we added a lot of new faces to our community this year, and I think that's pretty cool growth in memberships.
Woohoo!
Yeah, we love to have all of our new members and get them engaged and rocking. Then we've got our members officially identified 611,164 Holsteins in 2025. That's the most Holsteins that we've added to the herd book since 2020. Now, when you break that down, so that would be registrations plus basic ID. So our registrations reached 271,389, which is up 3% over 2024. And that's our first year that we've seen growth in registration since 2017. So that's a trend that I'm personally just thrilled about. And then looking at basic IDs, those were up as well. A lot of this, as you mentioned earlier, is driven by genomic testing. So our basic IDs total 339,775, and that's a 21% increase over 2024. So really nice growth in our core identification programs. Our classification team stayed busy too. So between our regular and our set classifications that we do for the AI companies, plus the work we do for other breeds, our team evaluated over 223,000 cows in 4,500 herds last year. So that's up 5% in cows and 6% in herds over 2024. So interestingly, about 15% of the classifications that we did in 2025 were for our other breed partners, Ayrshire, Guernsey, and Milking Shorthorn. We're very proud of those collaborations, and that's certainly adding to the cows that we're classifying. So again, as we talk about data, that's a lot of phenotypes coming in that are enhancing the accuracy of our confirmation evaluations. So really excited to build on this momentum as we head into the new year. I think every year we kind of wonder how things are going to end up, and we make projections, but it's been really exciting to see this growth. And I know that our team has worked really hard to hit these numbers. So really proud of it.
Those are great numbers, Lindsey. So if you can, for our listeners, paint a picture of what it's like in the office that last week in December, making sure we've got every last registration in the queue processed.
Yeah, so we operate on a calendar fiscal year. So we try and, like you said, get everything we can processed. I know our team put in a lot of overtime around the holidays, just trying to get that work processed. And we do, of course, we give people time off to enjoy the holidays with their families, but we do kind of pay attention to how much time off people are taking and just making sure we've got the staffing. And the team, just every single year, they just do a great job. They know the task. I don't even have to, nobody has to ask them. They just know what's expected. And it's just really cool to see people band together. And then when we're able to hit a milestone like this, it's really a great feeling. So I think everybody's just been excited to see this shift in momentum for us.
Well, certainly a lot to celebrate there with the team. Now, before we unveil number one, if I know you, and I think I do quite well, you would probably like to share appreciation for the folks that help make all of these highlights possible. So I'll give you a chance, Lindsey, here. Who would you like to shout out?
Thanks, Jodi. I really appreciated that you're giving me this chance because, like I said during my speech at the annual meeting this summer, I have the honor of being one of the main spokespeople for the organization. And so I get to stand up in front of crowds or be on things like this and talk about all the cool things that we do. But none of these highlights I mentioned, nothing that the Holstein Association does would be possible without the incredible team of employees. We've got right about 100 employees in the organization. Everybody just works really hard to do a great job. So that includes everyone from our regional reps and classifiers out in the field working with members. We've got our team here in the office that keep things running smoothly and provide that outstanding customer service. And then, of course, we've got a lot of technical experts, computer programmers that kind of work behind the scenes. And all of that comes together to really be able to achieve anything that we're able to. So very, very grateful and thankful for the awesome Holstein team that we have that cares so much about our members. I want to thank our board of directors for their leadership and support. We ask them to approve our business plan objectives and our budget, and they ask great questions and challenge us and push us to do our best. So always appreciate their exceptional leadership. And then, of course, we've got our members. Anybody that registered a calf, participated in the event, stayed engaged, your passion for Holsteins and the future of this organization, that's the gas in the car that fuels everything that we do. So always appreciate our members. And the last group I wanted to shout out to is just all of our industry partners. I think collaboration is an important key to moving the Holstein breed and our association forward in the future. We've got a lot of great partners. You're not going to name names because I don't want to risk missing anybody, but we've got some really tremendous industry partners that we're very proud of and really help enhance the work that we're able to do.
Oh, a tremendous list there of people. I share in your thanks and appreciation for our great membership team, board members, industry partners as well.
Takes a
All
village.
right. Now, drum roll, please. Lindsey, I'm waiting with bated breath. Please tell us what is your number one Holstein Association USA highlight from 2025?
All right. So I mentioned earlier, like I have to say this was pretty hard. I started with a pretty big list and I had to be very judicious and I had to really think about how I wanted to rank them. But so anyone that's been keeping up with Holstein Association news this past year is probably going to be able to guess what I'm about to say. And so it's going to be the announcement of our Build a Better Cow project at the National
Yes.
Convention last summer.
I
So
was already writing it down. I guessed it.
good. I wouldn't expect any less of you, Jodi. So the Build a Better Cow project is so exciting because it takes two things that we care deeply about, our classification program, our dairy cattle confirmation and technology, and combines them with machine vision and artificial intelligence to really take that data to the next level. So if anybody's not familiar with the Build a Better Cow project, it's a pretty simple concept. As cows leave the milking parlor, we've got 3 cameras that are positioned around the exit lane that capture cows very quietly as they walk or run through the exit lanes of the milking parlor. And they capture a high resolution 3D picture. And then we're able to take that picture and using artificial intelligence and machine vision, we're able to actually generate 26 different measurements off that cow. And that's without slowing down the cow. Like I said, she can walk or run through. And so it doesn't disrupt the flow out of the parlor at all. So we think that's a big advantage. So if we can get this project right, it means that we're going to be able to have faster, scalable data collection on a lot of large herds with really busy milking parlors that maybe our current classification program we're not as able to operate as efficiently. So it's important to note that we really envision this system working alongside of our current classification program and really just being an option that is going to help us collect a lot of data at scale very efficiently. Aside from being able to collect all that data, that's going to allow us to generate some novel insights that don't exist today. Getting measurements on cows multiple times per day, every day throughout the course of their life. We're really excited about the implications for that. I do want to make sure to be clear that the Build a Better Cow project, it is very much still a development project, but we'll certainly share updates with members as we move forward towards commercial readiness, which is a major focus of 2026. So stay tuned, but Build a Better Cow, we've been working on it for a few years and it was very thrilling to be able to introduce it to members. We've had tremendous reception from members and other folks in the industry that are just really excited about the potential for this technology.
It is super exciting stuff. We've been working on it for a few years, right? And we've got our patent applied for. So we were just able to start talking about it now that we've got that patent applied for and announced it at convention this year. People that attended World Dairy Expo, we did a Knowledge Nook session. That was a packed house.
Yeah, shout out to Dr. Jeffrey Bewley's been the lead on this project. And I think we've got that posted on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't had a chance, Jeffrey does that Knowledge Nook presentation. He did a great job giving an overview and that was a great presentation.
Yeah, and I suppose if somebody wants to see the OG proving grounds for it, they can always visit WKU Smart Holstein Lab, right?
Our collaboration with Western Kentucky University is still going strong. And like you said, we've got the Build a Better Cow system installed at 3 dairy farms currently fully operational. And we'll be expanding that in 2026. But Western Kentucky was the original site for that. And you can go there today and see it. And if Jeffrey's there to give you a tour, he can actually talk to you about what it is that's there on the milking parlor exit lane.
Nerd out with Jeffrey.
Yep.
All right. Love it. So our number one highlight, our Build a Better Cow system. What a way to put a bow on your top 10 list, Lindsey. And oh, what a year. Congratulations on all these achievements. 1 year down, many more highlights to come. Thanks for joining me, Lindsey, and we wish for all the best in 2026.
Yeah, thanks, Jodi. It's been fun. I appreciate you visiting with me, and it's been fun to kind of reminisce. But now we're ready to get to work on 2026.
All right, let's do it. Thanks everyone for joining us for our Holstein Connections podcast.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Holstein Connections. Whether you're in the barn, on the road, or just tuning in for your dose of dairy news, we're glad you're here. Until next time, this is Holstein Connections.